Ha, Lily.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I've completely ballsed up this live stream because we were meant to have. You know what I did? But I think what happens when you have a stream is you can send it to various different places.
Mm.
And so I've actually sent the stream to two different places, and one of the places was the Meet Magic account. Which Lily.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
One sec. Can you hear me now? Hey, quiet.
Can you hear me twice? Have you got it open on your computer?
Oh my God.
How's it going for you today?
It's all going wrong. I think
Mr. Digital Age.
Shit. I've invited Andrew Madazak, the CTO, former CTO of West Farmers, and Andrew White, who is the country manager for Signavio. They're meant to be here, but I've completely cocked up the invite for them. And so I'm hoping you got the email pretty straight away, right?
I did.
I'm hoping. Tell me how the week's gone, because I know we've had a pretty busy week. Give me a rundown on what's happened in the Meet Magic world while we wait for these guys to come on.
Yes. The Meet Magic world has been very busy. The Meet Magic world has been very busy. We've been go, haven't we? So that's been fabulous. I think so far we've been able to donate lots of money to Starlight recently. I think LinkedIn would have seen that we donated another $50,000. And I think we're already something crazy like up to 30,000 ready to donate by the end of this month. So hopefully we'll have that up to 250,000 total. Well, I think we kind of already have.
That's incredible.
We're almost there. So we're doing really well, aren't we?
We really are.
Not toot our own horns.
And in terms of executives, we've gone from 60 or something when you joined in February. What are we sitting at now?
We're sitting at 407 executives.
That's quite a lot of executives. So if you're a vendor and you want to get access to have some really powerful meetings, this is really the place for you to do that, right? So I need to now try and find Andrew, and I don't know where they are.
I think I can. You waffle on for a sec. I think I can send them a message in the other stream.
Can you do that?
Just hold off. Yeah.
Are they still there? Are they?
I think so.
I think this is. Oh, it is. It's gone to Andrew's Wiz email address. What a donkey. So this is live. So if you're watching this, who we got here now?
Probably not very interesting in the moment.
Laura, well, let's just add everybody, shall we? I'm going to add everybody anyway. Laura, hi. Miriam, you might as well come in. I've completely cocked up this stream. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi.
Yeah. Oh, good. You're actually live on the internet right now on LinkedIn Live. So one of the things that you who's just joined? Let's have a look. I think this is hilarious. This is a comedy of errors. Here's Andrew Madazak. Okay, I'm going to add Andrew if I can.
Oh dear.
A complete comedy of errors. I completely love. Well, this is. Why can't I can't even get to it now. Hold on.
Right, we can cut this part out, can't we, folks?
This is hilarious. Andrew.
Oh, there you go.
What a complete comedy of errors this is. So let me tell you, when you're working with kids, animals, or technology, there's always room for things to go wrong, right? And this is a LinkedIn Live that I planned it. I set the stream up this morning, but what I didn't realize was I set it up to run from the Meet Magic account on LinkedIn and not from my own personal account on LinkedIn. So at 1 o'clock, when I flicked the switch to go live,
yeah,
it's actually come back and says actually Meet Magic is not authorized for LinkedIn Live.
Oh, right. Okay. That's not useful.
So I've had to then flip it over to my personal account. And so Miriam, if you're there, can you go and get your digital transformation guru to log on to this stream instead?
Yes, I'll go get him. No problem.
I've sent him the email. He just needs to. Andrew, so how bizarre. How are you?
I'm well, thank you very much. Yeah, excellent. There you go, eh? It's interesting that, that on the subject of single source of truth, you can talk about single point of coordination, and even when you do that, you can still go wrong. So,
Well, but at the same time, it's also about being adaptable and being able to operate under extreme pressure without flapping. And what I've just done is literally within the space of 30 seconds, created a new stream and set it all up and added it on. So the topic of conversation with this is all around that transformation.
It is, absolutely. And look, isn't just everyone doing that right now? I mean, with COVID-19 coming into play, transformation projects were, almost support type function roles and activities, and all of a sudden they've become top of the agenda. They've been boardroom conversations. This whole shift from, physical retail attribution to, online and all of those things, and the repercussions of that. I mean, wow, what a change. And look, and you can see the companies not ready for it, including Australia Post. You look at all the revamping of that and what they've had to do to try and keep up with demand. They've had to bring on, more people. They've had to open more distribution centres. They've had to cut down the old daily mail of, physical envelopes. I know I got the other day, I was told they're only going to deliver the mail every second day now, not every day. And it's just the amount of disruption to try and cater for this is just astronomical. And I think the people running behind and these big corporations are just really struggling to keep up with that. And these things are not simple fixes. I mean, I know we've had these conversations before, and there are many companies out there that have spent lots of money doing things on the shiny front end and not dealing with the back end problems. And those things are coming to light. The winners here today are the ones that have taken on the big challenges and dealt with those hard problems, worked with those back end technologies to bring them up to real time, to being easily accessible and integratable and all those sorts of things. And that's why the bigger online vendors are really killing it at the moment, because they've got that in place, and this is a great opportunity, a great world for startups, right? I mean, we just saw yesterday, Commonwealth Bank finally releasing a credit card to try and compete with Afterpay. I mean, wow, you can pay for a credit card that's, whatever it is, $20, $25 a month, when it's not a traditional credit card, it's an Afterpay service, right? So they've had to change that whole model and disrupt their own backyard. But how long has it taken them? I mean, Afterpay isn't new, and BitPay and all the other, pay now, buy later products, right? And I think that's happening everywhere. So, you look at the retail footprints, you look at what's happening in Melbourne today. I mean, how many businesses there have had to diversify into something completely different, to meet those demands?
Oh, most definitely. The creativity that's coming out at the moment is insane.
It is.
Every which way you look, there's a new idea, and it's a new something, and almost all of it is digital.
That's right.
It's quite incredible.
So the title of this LinkedIn Live is around transformation and the single source of truth. Andrew, in your words, what is transformation?
Look, transformation is many things to many people, but from my point of view, for any organisation, transformation should be around putting the customer first, and the customer first is from every type of experience, whether that be going to a physical counter, whether that be ringing a call center, or the very obvious part, which is going on a website or through a mobile app or any other electronic means. And by the way, that landscape's changing too, because you have to think about wider than just your mobile app and just your website, because we now have this concept of marketplaces, right? And I guess even things like Uber Eats is a marketplace. It's a marketplace for restaurants to become a part of, a community that enables other things. So you have to think about all those different channels to market and all those things to do with customers, and the way that you're going to do with that. So it starts really at the end of the day, it's customer journey. Customer journey has been called out for many years, and then mapping that through, your business process into your organization, and then looking at what needs to happen to improve that customer service at the end of the day. So I think, the old world of having manual processes and all those other things, they come undone very quickly when you move to this new world, because they're not catered for large volume, they're not nimble, they're not agile, they're generally not understood. You have key person dependencies, and so transformation has to really look at more than just technology. And technology is a really important part, by the way. I mean, starting to pick the newer, more nimble technologies that are out there, this whole concept of organisations sitting there saying we're going to go with proven technology. I mean, I've heard that term over the years, over and over again. That means you're using old rubbish generally because you're too scared to take on something new, right?
Yeah.
And then, g'day, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good, Andrew. How are you?
Look, there's never a better world than when you have two Andrews on the same session, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Well, Andrew, I just want to apologise. I was just saying that the ability to be nimble today is important, because what I did just recently was set up this live stream, not realising I've set it up through the Meet Magic account, which doesn't have approval to stream live on LinkedIn. So I've had to then go and change it around very quickly to do it on my own personal account, which is why it's taken a while. But we got there in the end.
Well, I think it's a good example of a single source of truth and transparency on a link, right? So,
well,
definitely, we've started off with an example.
He must have been watching what I said earlier. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
case in point.
We've just had asked Andrew to tell us what he thinks transformation is, and obviously that single source of truth where Signavio come in is really critical to that. What are you seeing in your words? What's transformation to you, Andrew? Right?
Yeah, yeah. So from our perspective, the way we see it typically is it's about customer centricity. I think that is the anchor point of where you're trying to get to. So I'm saying this without hearing Andrew's answers, so that could be interesting. So it's all about how do you pivot now? How are you different? But how do you keep that customer focus? Because I mean, from a business perspective, at the end of the day, that's where the revenue comes from, to be blunt. So, how do you optimize that? How do you pivot, and how do you change quickly and be agile? So it's not really about it's about process, because what process enables that to happen from an inside out and an outside in view of where the business and customers meet. Right. So how do you enable that? And obviously then digital is a way is one of the pieces, definitely, to enable that, to facilitate that in an agile way, I guess is the short answer.
Right. I mean, we're seeing crazy stuff happening this week. I think the whole Meet Magic stories for us, we get to see firsthand from some companies what's happening in their world. And I know a lot of companies have had the internet for 30 years and they're still struggling to have people work remotely. We've just seen Twitter in San Francisco tell all of their staff, you can come back if you want to, and nobody wants to. So now they're going to go and lease their entire building out, sublease it out to other people to use. And so the fact that they could do that and have that capability of doing that means that they were obviously agile enough. But there's a lot of companies that can't make those decisions that quickly. So how does Signavio help maybe a company that, if all of a sudden they don't want to go back to the office, how would Signavio help with that?
Yeah, I think that's a good real world example. We're seeing that as well. All the big organisations I know, in Australia are doing the similar sort of thing. They're just seeing the value in that. So I think it's about how do you have that such a disparate workforce who maybe might go weeks without being in the office. That's quite possible. At home living the dream. How do you get around that? So I think it comes back to what we do talk about, which is how do you keep everyone on the same page easily, and that's that. And HR is a big piece of what we do as well from process. When new people join, what am I doing? Who does what? Who owns what? Where does it sit? What's an end-to-end process of this? Not just one little piece of a task. What does an end-to-end process look like and manage, right down from alignment to strategy, right through to SOPs, work instructions. How does the right person find that in that remote space? And we find that's a great way to onboard people quickly. Enable reinvention of knowledge. Because a lot of people lose knowledge. If someone leaves, company goes, knowledge gets lost. So I think with that remote workforce now, that's going to be a big play to have everybody on the same page, more so.
Yeah, I think what Andrew was just saying is absolutely correct. I mean, one of the things I'm seeing with digital transformation at the moment is, this whole idea and this term being used of what's our target state operating model. I mean, it's come up over and over. The frequency and use of that term is being, very, 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 very accelerated. The question is, what's our current state operating model is a better question, because many organizations, especially the larger ones, don't know the answer to that. And that's why, the startups, the more nimble shops, can adjust and they can pivot, as Andrew mentioned, quite quickly in that. So, we talk about single source of truth and everyone wants to talk about data. And that's an important aspect, because you need to know your customer. Let's say you want a single source of truth of that. You need to know it's the relationships and the interactions that occur throughout the customer's journey. but you also want to know what the process is and how your business actually works. So let's face it, a startup with 30 people, it's easy to understand how the place works because you can talk to anyone around you around how it works, right? If you've got 3,000 or 5,000 people, it becomes fairly diluted. And, there's always that special way we do it for that particular customer or this particular customer, right? And that's what throws the process out. So having that single source of truth and having a way to document that single source of truth in platforms that are integrated and easily accessible, easily driven and understood, and have management buy-in, Xcode buy-in, because some of the organizations have multiple instances of this stuff, and a new project comes along, they become a disruptor because, guess what, they want yet another tool set that does this. I mean, we're great at producing tools for problems rather than matching the problem to a tool, and generally most organizations have tools that can do this stuff. But we just build complexity on ourselves, and then we can't get cut through to get the end result, which ultimately means that the customer satisfaction goes out the window because they're stuck within this realm of stuff that people don't understand.
That's a great point. Andrew White, what do you reckon? Oversupply of tools, too many tools and still can't get cut through. Is that something you see?
Yeah, because and to Andrew's point, you're not starting with the end in mind, which is the end of the process, the customer, the process, right? So always start with the end in mind. It's sort of a bit of a motto there. So how do you drive that through? I mean, tools are great, but it also comes down to usage. Yeah. People have to use it. If there's not relevant content, we all know this, and Andrew, you know this from large organizations. If the relevant content's up there, people just won't use it, right? And you can't.
That's right.
Right. It's like a CRM system. If no one uses it, it's pointless. You've got to have the better quality is in there. The more people use it, and so you spiral up. And
I think I mentioned. Yeah, I mentioned this in a conversation with you previously, Andrew, that I've been in organisations that have process mapping tools and all sorts of things like that, and yet you've still got people that go and do it in Visio first, and then when they agree with everyone, they go translate it into whatever the corporate system is. I mean, why? That means through that whole stage and iteration of improving or getting an understanding of it, no one else can have view of what's actually occurring because it's stuck in someone's Visio file, right? So it's really important to get this stuff on the table and get transparency into it.
Yeah, and that's a problem with the Visio type approach is that it's just silos again. So everyone is doing their processes without knowing the impacts upstream and downstream, not having alignment to value streams themselves coming from strategy. So execs have strategy, and you got your value streams, your value chains, your levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 work instructions. So a company that can pivot fast is one who has alignment. Everyone's working together to that same piece, and otherwise you waste so much admin time just trying to herd the cats. Get everyone together and why aren't you doing this way, that way, and before you know it, there goes another year.
That's right.
That's the key point, I think, and that gets back to the central source of truth too, I think, because Andrew, you would never run your financials on everybody having Excel, at an organization. Right. So why would you run your processes on Visio? So that's.
I agree.
And I think that people are starting to see that now. We're doing large transformation programs with major organisation banks, telcos, Telstra, doing massive transformations. We're helping Telstra to pivot. If there's a battleship in Australia with corporates, it's Telstra, right? So how do they go from their T22 transformation project from 200 plus products down to 20, and everybody on the same page instantly, almost? So. It's that central source of truth, transparency, easy access for everybody, the business especially, not the back office architects. It's how does the business get to this stuff?
And don't we get wrapped up in this whole idea of we need all these products, right? At the end of the day, we need this core set of products that have nimble attributes, really, at the end of the day. And that's where we come undone. Because it's too hard to go re-engineer a current product, we can produce a new one rather than just adjust the attributes to suit the market.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. And so, and how do you keep doing that? So I think, it's, to the subject today too, a little bit is central source of truth and that side of things important. If you think about all the systems, Andrew, you've seen all this, but all the systems you have, that is very much often the aim of them. I know there are side tools and do specialists. I get that, but that really if you think about it, the ultimate central source of truth tool that everybody uses is email.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, right? So what's the most ubiquitous tool in the world is email. That doesn't what your platform of choice is, because it enables everybody to come back to that one comment, that conversation, that source that's defined. So, and you wouldn't have everybody just submitting Word documents everywhere and then trying to go back and find that information that you wrote down. So I think fundamentally, And for some reason, process has taken a long time to get there. Which has surprised me. I mean, if you think about it, people, process, technology. I mean, why wouldn't you have all the people across all the processes end to end utilizing technology? I mean, it sort of makes sense.
Is the problem the first one, people?
Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, no, I'm happy to talk to that. I mean, the short answer is yes, right? I mean, because it comes down to culture. I mean, and culture is what drives ultimately transformation in any organization. It doesn't matter who it is, right? I mean, when I walk into an organization, the first thing I do is I go and sit and spend a day in the call center. And, you know, I'm going in at sea level. I'm going straight to a call center, sitting next to an agent and watching how they operate. Why? Because it doesn't matter how much reading or how many meetings or discussions I have, nothing gives me a better insight into the customer experience than sitting there and listening to, you know, agents take calls with real customers, right? I then go, yeah, before I've joined the organization, I've already looked at their website and their mobile app and I've tried to purchase something, right? This whole concept of doing synthetic transactions, I mean, it's a bit of an old term now, but everyone talks about, oh, we need a tool for a synthetic transaction. No, what you do is you get real people testing your own service by actually signing up as a real customer, right? And if you look at some of the startup organizations, that's what they're not doing. That's what they are doing. They're not sitting there going, what tool can we use to do a synthetic transaction, right? You know, if I talk about Red Balloon or any of these sorts of companies, you know, you find that the owner or the founder or the CEO or whoever it is are actually going and actually putting real transactions through their business to see what experience they have. How easy was it to the order? What engagement did I have with people? You know, how quickly did it arrive? When it arrived, was it well packaged? Was it well presented? You know, because all those things are important, right? How many times have you bought something online and it arrives at your door and you open up and it's squashed or it's thrown in a box upside down, or, you know, and you go, wow, I actually paid for this product and it looks like I just picked it off the street, because you pretty much did, because no one's thought about how it's going to get delivered in such a way that it still values the customer's perception of what they're receiving.
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting. That makes me think too about where things are heading to is where we start to get into process mining. So, yes. Because process modeling, we say, because we do three-dimensional views, attributes, dictionaries, you know, simulation, those things. But that's all great, and it is great, customer journeys. But how do you know it's actually happening? Exactly to your point, Andrew. So, but if you go back in the system, you can see, well, how many times do you have to resend that package? How many complaints were there? What's the process? And were people shortcutting things? Is that why it didn't happen? So that's where the real world meets the theory, and that's really critical, because that gives you a gap between what's real and what should be. So marketing might think they've got a great program in place, right, with it's done up in Glyphy or something like that, which is a static document. But how do you know that's actually being enacted with a process? You know, so you can't keep measuring, right? You can't change if you don't measure. So how do you measure that? And so by going to source systems, you can see where variations are happening. You know, where tasks are not being followed properly, and the end result being, to your point, Andrew, bad customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I think, is, you know, organizations need to actually understand what their differentiated experiences are, and by that I mean, you know, people are time poor, so everyone assumes that you want online, you want quick, you want, you know, all those sorts of things, and that is, don't get me wrong, that's probably, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's probably, you know, 7 out of 10 tasks, maybe even higher. That's probably is what you want. But what about the differentiated experiences where you want something different? I mean, pre-COVID, and when we, you know, hopefully go back to a real world, you know, why do you go to a 5-star restaurant versus, you know, a food court or, you know, or a drive-through? Because it's a differentiated experience. You want quality food, you want service, you want to feel like this is something, you know, different, right? And this is absolutely no different. You know, you need to think about those on, you know, whether it's the call center experience, whether it's the you know, the website or the mobile app. You know, I think, you know, airlines did this well with regard to tiering. You know, you had platinum, gold, silver. You know, had different attributes attached to levels of service. And I think, you know, we've now swung sort of the other way, where one size fits all, and I know why, because of volume. But there's still a market there for that differentiated experience. And I think the right process tools and mapping tools that we can put in place with those dimensions that allow for that is what would be differentiators for those who can drive something that's a little bit, a slightly different offering that's premium in the market.
Yeah, and I think to that, I think too, and this is where it's really important, because everyone's into process automation, you know, robotic.
They are.
So, and of itself, it can be great and absolutely save time, but exactly that.
It's one size fits all.
It's hard to differentiate, right? So if you do want that, so at what point in your end-to-end process should a human being get involved, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And that to me is the magic piece of digital transformation, knowing when to bring a person in as well. right?
Yes,
And
I
I
agree.
don't mean 3 weeks later when the customer's been complaining for 3
No,
weeks.
no.
Yeah,
That's right.
at the time when it's happening. So, what variation should justify that? Is it a tiered? If it's a gold member, a silver, whatever, is that the time to bring someone in sooner rather than later? Do you work your processes around that? Yeah, that's customer journey, right? So, I think
I agree.
we see a lot of issues with that too. Out in the space is people bringing RPA of itself can be a good thing, definitely, but without that end-to-end view, without that knowing exactly the impact on the customer experience, it can backfire. To that point, or you become vanilla, right? There's no differentiation to what you do.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at, once again, using airlines, when they offer premium club services, not just the general lounge, right, but the premium club services they offer for, chairman's lounge and all that sort of thing, they're not giving them a mobile site or a website to go to. They give them someone that they can talk to, which is a concierge. That's a real people, a one-stop shop that navigates all of that stuff for them, because that's a premium service, right? And they want that. And so it's, how do you blend that into something that you can start to build into processes and bring that differentiator to market irrelevant of what industry you're in.
Yeah. Gents, great conversation. This could go on for hours. I can just sense it. I know you two are just going to just keep talking and banging on. I've got to get off to another meeting. But Andrew, I just wanted to say, Andrew White, I just want to say thank you to you and the Signavio team for being a Meet Magic customer. And I know you've had some great meetings with us, and we're very, very grateful. I think we've donated quite a bit of money to charity off the back of clients like yourselves, so we're very, very grateful for that. And Andrew Matazak, you've been a massive supporter of the whole Meet Magic thing from day one, and I think you're probably still the number one person that's taken the most meetings out of.
And I haven't done any for a few months, so there you go.
Out of everyone, which is really amazing. We're super grateful, but maybe a follow-up LinkedIn Live, Andrews, with this, because you can build a whole series around this. I think every company right now needs to look at transformation. They need to look at companies like Signavio that can actually help them on that journey, because just like a butterfly, it has to come from a chrysalis and it has to spread its wings, and you're never going to do that unless you know where you're going and how you're going to get there. And I think Signavio help chrysalises become butterflies. That's the way I see it.
Most definitely. I just wanted to add in there as well. Thank you guys so much. I did tally it up just before. We're talking to like a legend of a company for helping Starlight and a legend of an executive. So Signavio has helped 270 children at the Starlight Children's Foundation. And amazing. Andrew has kindly helped 180. So
wow.
Thank you both so much. We are ever so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's a great platform. Really enjoying it.
We're really grateful, and we'll catch you. We'll try and set up another one if anyone's interested. I'll make sure we put all your details for Signavio in the comments so people can reach out to you, Andrew, because I think there's a lot of conversations that you can have and help people.
Definitely.
That'd be great.
All right, gents.
This is great. Thank you so much.
Enjoy your Poets' Day.
Certainly will.
See ya.
Yeah.